Thanks for watching 2 News to 6 tonight. Utah's Board of Pardons and Parole preparing to review a request for a commutation hearing for convicted murderer Ralph Menzies. His attorneys want the board to spare his life.
But that board is missing a full-time member and one had to bow out. Chief Investigative Reporter Wendy Halloran is joining us with the new details. Wendy.
Well, Jamie and Mark, it takes a majority decision by the 5-member board as to whether they will grant Menzies' petition for a commutation hearing. I'm going to tell you about the departure of the board chair and a member who disqualified himself and what they have to do to even review Menzies' petition to begin with.
The man suspected of abducting Maureen Hunsaker was already in jail when he became a prime murder suspect.
Nearly 4 decades has passed.
His actions at the booking desk would eventually expose him as an accused killer.
Convicted in 1988 of kidnapping and murdering Maureen Hunsaker, Ralph Menzies' attorneys have asked the board to halt his September 5th execution by firing squad, claiming he has dementia and no longer understands why he's scheduled to be executed.
In Mr. Menzies' case, we have one recusal of a board member who has had involvement in the case and so has recused.
That board member is Dan Bakavoy. He disqualified himself due to having involvement in Menzies' case. Prior to being appointed to the board by Governor Cox, Bakavoy was an assistant attorney general representing the Utah Department of Corrections, leaving 3 members because Scott Stevenson resigned as board chair. Stevenson's departure, along with Bakavoy's recusal, leaves only 3 full-time board members: Greg Johnson, Melissa Sturba, and Blake Hills, who is now interim chair. In order to even review Menzies' petition for a commutation hearing, the board has to seat 2 temporary members,
requiring us to use 2 pro tempore members who will complement the full-time board members, are Bradley Rich and Bob Yates.
Yates served during last year's commutation hearing for Tuberone Honey. The board will review Menzies' petition and prosecutor's response and decide whether or not to grant a commutation hearing. Board Administrator Jennifer Yim says the board has more latitude than it did last year with Honey. One key difference between the decision-making process for Menzies as opposed to Honey: Menzies was sentenced in 1988. In 1992, state lawmakers changed the statute on what the board can consider as far as granting a commutation hearing. The newer statutes won't apply to Menzies.
The board should not consider for commutation things that were previously raised by the courts, things that should have been raised in the judicial process, or things that are subject to judicial review.
While Maureen Hunsaker's son, who was just 10 years old when she was murdered, waits for September 5th.
I'm preparing myself to go see somebody's life being taken from them. His life will be over in mere seconds. We don't know how long she stood there and suffered in that grove, how long she was, bled to death, and how much she felt and knew.
Jennifer Yim said the board is not the courts and it will stay in its own lane and will not attempt to relitigate anything that has been litigated in the past. Tomorrow, Menzies will be back in court. A judge will consider whether to grant a full hearing to address his competency. This after a new health evaluation claiming his dementia has progressed. We will bring you coverage of that hearing tomorrow. Mark?
All right, thank you.